Now to our first big story for the morning. The ongoing political crisis in Rivers State has escalated once again as the state legislature, dominated by pro-Wike lawmakers, indefinitely suspended its sitting following Governor Siminalayi Fubara's latest attempt to present the 2025 budget. The power struggle between Fubara and his predecessor, now FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, has created a deadlock in governance, with the State Assembly refusing to engage with the governor's administration. Fubara's recent letter proposing a budget presentation on Wednesday, March 19th was ignored, prompting concerns over whether legislative functions in Rivers State have been completely paralyzed. This latest standoff marks another chapter in a bitter conflict that began when Fubara attempted to assert independence from Wike's influence. Since then, the state has witnessed multiple legal and political maneuvers, including defections, suspensions, and the physical demolition of the Rivers Assembly complex. With the indefinite suspension on legislative sittings, governance in the state appears to be at a standstill, raising questions about the rule of law and the separation of powers.
The situation in Rivers State is growing increasingly tense, with governance seemingly held hostage by political infighting. Let's begin our overview of how we got here to discuss the implication of the crisis. We're joined now by Chibike Ikenga, Publicity Secretary of the Rivers APC Caretaker Committee. We also have Professor Benjamin Okaba. He's the National President, Ijaw Congress. In the studio, we have Kabir Akingbolu. He is a legal practitioner and human rights activist. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on the news.
It's a pleasure for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, I said news, but this is Breakfast Extra. So yesterday we started this conversation,
Yes.
but we couldn't continue. And my first question to you was, has there ever been a precedent where a state governor is locked out of the National Assembly, or a situation where correspondence is being ignored?
Well, let me start by saying that, whoever keeps silent in the face of oppression and injustice, is not doing anything than injustice to himself and to the society. We must not lose sight of the fact that, well, it happens to the head today, it can happen to the neck tomorrow. So we should be very careful, you understand, in treating these things, because it is better to discuss what is right than who is right here. What the House of Assembly in Rivers State has done is an abnormal thing, is an aberration, is an anathema that is unprecedented in the history of Nigeria. And, it is even an abdication of legislative duty. You understand? The governor has a right, you understand, to send the bill or a proposal of budget to the House. And the only thing is, he will do it in writing. And why the House of Assembly, it is their constitutional duty to receive it. They, of course, have a right to say, we are not going to consider the budget based on this and this and this, or the budget is high or is low, we want this to be done. Not to say we are not going to even receive the governor at all. Don't forget, when they are in that house, they are very powerful. There is what they call Legislative Immunity and Privileges Act. Whatever they say in the presence of that, in the confines of the House, they have immunity. Just like the governors. If they call anybody any name within the presence of the House, it cannot be a subject of defamation or libel. You understand? And again, when the governor is coming here or the president is coming to the National Assembly, they don't stand up. The governor is the one to respect them, to tell you how hallowed and respected that chamber is. But then, should there be, will you throw away the baby with the bathwater, assuming without considering that the governor has done one or two things that you don't like? Okay, you gave him ultimatum. The Supreme Court gave a decision that, go and present another budget, because it's also an aberration for the governor to present budget to 4 members House of Assembly in a 30-member House of Assembly, 31.
An aberration that's subsisted for a while.
You understand, for a while.
Yeah.
But you will not blame him because it's Nigeria. It happened in Edo State and the governor ruled for 4 years with only 9 members out of 25.
Now let me come to Mr. Ikenga, who's with us on Zoom. Mr. Ikenga, this paralysis of legislative function. I'm wondering what your take on it is. We've seen the governor's body language, and of course, he's even tried to present or represent this budget to the House. And then all of a sudden, we hear that the House has totally said we're going on recess for, well, indefinitely. What does this say about legislative functions inside of Rivers State? Is it totally paralyzed? And how does this affect all the parties involved?
Okay, thank you for having me this morning. Thank you, guests as well, and then viewers. Quickly, I'd like to pick a hole in the analysis the last speaker made.
That's Mr. Kabir.
He justified. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, he justified that the governor presenting budget to 3 persons was an aberration, but you don't blame him because there's a precedent, it happened elsewhere. That's unfortunate. But he also said the Rivers State House of Assembly, what they have done is an aberration. They don't want to receive the governor and they don't want to pass the budget. He doesn't have the information. Firstly, there are processes required in communication between the executive and the legislature, as well as the judiciary. They have established processes. Even ordinarily, administratively, if you send a correspondence to any organ of government or any office, you must have an acknowledgement copy. You must show that it's been received, and that from that point that it's been sent and received, you now know that there's a communication. So when the communication that happens, then you expect a response. So I don't want to bore you with all those details, but let's look at...
No, please, I'd like you to bore us with the details.
Exactly.
As someone who is in the know as to what is playing out in Rivers State, talk to us about the party's stance. And of course, you know, how long, perhaps, if you have an idea, the members will be adjourned for.
Okay, quickly. I do know that we have come out of the worst, because I saw also on social media virally another letter written by the governor, which did not show in any form that is being received from the Rivers State House Assembly. And then the issue of Assembly adjoining Senator. The Assembly can as well reconvene the same day they adjoin Senator. They can reconvene even after 1 minute after they did that. So that's not an issue. As far as there is something cogent, there is something urgent, they can reconvene within the shortest possible time. So that's not an issue. But issues here must be put in perspective. Particularly, you recall that there has been a running battle between the executive and the legislature, wherein the executive tried to completely stampede the legislature in Rivers State. You are aware, until they were rescued by the Supreme Court. Take note that up till as we speak, the legislators who were properly voted the same day like the governor have not received their allowances and salaries for...
Chibike, sorry. The conversation, we understand that there are underlying issues, but the Supreme Court has ruled, and there is a need for the Assembly to receive the budget from the President. We're talking about formalities here. A letter was sent, a letter was not received, and all of that. These are residents, most probably, in the same state. So what is the problem with communication? Because at the end of the day, it's not about these big wigs, it's not about allowances, it's not about personal interest, but it is about the people of Rivers State.
Okay, thank you. You know, I told you I wasn't going to bore you with the details of the back and forth movement, but let me say something clearly. You see, it is important that we obey the rule of law. We obey the principles as enshrined in our Constitution. It's also more important, as we speak, to obey the judgment of the Supreme Court. But a lot of water has passed under the bridge. It is important that they do what we call backroom discussions, negotiations. They have injured each other one way or the other. They have lost trust in each other. So there is need for proper negotiation. Politics is not about all that is happening in Rivers State politics. Politics is not about compromises. Politics is not about give and take. You must shift from your position. If you don't shift from your position, there is no need for settlement. So the executive must shift and the legislature must also shift so that we can have a compromise and move Rivers State forward. As we start today, until the Assembly, Rivers State Assembly has made us know that they have received the governor's letter, we cannot speak for the House of Assembly. And then the House of Assembly has to also inform the governor that, look, the date you suggested, we will abide by it, or we shift, there's a slight shift, and they will agree before that is done. Unfortunately, all this back and forth, Rivers people are the worst for it. But we do not want it to subsist. This is a weekend. We believe that by Monday and Tuesday, a whole lot of things will happen. So we'll be able to know whether the governor will be able to come on Wednesday as he did request, or it will be shifted to Thursday or Friday. So it's only from Monday, Tuesday that we'll be able to know what exactly the position is, and then we know whether there is a crisis, whether there is a disagreement. But for now, the letter came in on Friday, and Friday usually the Assembly was already doing something else, and then today it's Saturday, Sunday, and then let's see what Monday has. So Senator doesn't mean that the House has closed.
Now, Mr. Ikenga, I would like to come to Professor Benjamin Okaba here. Professor, I have two questions for you. But first off, I'd like to know what the position of the Ijaw Nation is on the matters here inside of Rivers State.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would like to start by stating very clearly that the situation in Rivers State is a perfect example of a class struggle between those who want to grab power at all costs and those who want to go the path of peace and governance that will lead to sustainable development of the state. People are trying to provide some distorted coloration. It's an ethnic war, no ethnic. It is people of different interests and who are supporting both sides of the coin based on their disposition and their thinking about all of that. This is a case of injustice against somebody who has been properly elected. The underlying factor is that somebody is desperate to acquire power at all costs. The desperation has even gone to the extent of not caring whether insecurity issues are come to play or not. So that should be at the background. Nigerians should understand that this is not about Wike and Fubara. It's about two classes, antagonistic classes of people who want to grab and maintain. That is it. So it is on the premise of that the Ijaw National Congress has been very, very consistent in supporting the person we consider to be doing the right thing. And what is the right thing? The man who swore, who has been given the mandate to serve people of Rivers State. And all through, nobody has questioned what this Fubara has done that is not right. The issues are about agreement. And we have said that the only agreement that subsists is the agreement with the people, with not any individual. Yes, any other agreement will be seen as informal. The formal agreement is a social contract entered by the governor and his citizens, which is to provide services. That he has done excellently well. These other distortions are personal. Now, I go back to this. Over the years, not just in Rivers State, we have successors and predecessors having a rift. But it has never gone to this level, where for same reasons, somebody is not letting go at all. It's unpardonable. So the Ijaw National Congress is standing with Fubara on this, and what we have said, that any attempt to maliciously, I use the word maliciously, remove him. If you have done anything wrong, no problem. But to maliciously remove him as governor will attract consequences.
Professor Okaba, I did say that I had two questions for you. Now, noting that you have just filled the position of the Ijaw Nation regarding this, also noting that over the week, the FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, had made some comments that most Ijaw people found disparaging. However, there was a hosting by a group of Ijaw people yesterday of the FCT Minister inside of Rivers State. So what do you have to say about these, what is becoming different groups of Ijaw people and who exactly they support in this imbroglio?
The Ijaw Nation has over 40 million people all across the world. Ijaws are in 6 states. Ijaws are also, by way of extension, we have 26 communities in Abia State. We have many other indigenous communities and all that. And so the infinitesimal proportion of persons that felt not insulted enough, not provoked enough by somebody insulting your parents, your father, all your generations, now and tomorrow, and you are so shameless to fooling that person to giving what you call as a shameful reception. It's unfortunate, but again, betrayal is a social phenomenon. Even in the Bible, out of 12, there was a betrayal. So these persons, as far as are concerned, in fact, it will get to a stage where we have to test their DNA to know whether they are truly Ijaw people. Because Wike insulted the sensitivity of Ijaw people. And what will be done to them will not be decided by me. Will not be decided by me. Ijaw Nation, at all levels, even up to their communities, will take the appropriate actions.
All right.
Because you don't betray people and go scot-free. That is the truth. So, and again, while this was allowed to happen, because all through that day before the visit, I had to be on my toes, sensitizing people on the need to be peaceful, because this is the bubble trap. The desperate political class that wants power at all costs has imposition of state of emergency as one of their options. And for Wike and his people, even our Ijaw brothers, to invite him to the arts, one part Abalama, which
okay, Prof, I must interject. Prof, let me interject and just acknowledge that Wike has, sorry please, Wike has come out to say that his comments about the Ijaw Nation was misconstrued. Have you heard that comment from Wike, and does it help in any way to placate the people of the Ijaw Nation?
No. I don't know at what state, whether he was intoxicated by alcohol or was intoxicated by some other forces. What the statement he made are very clear. Maybe he's saying that now that he has come back to his senses. He thoroughly insulted Ijaw people, even made misinformation, right? He's saying that the Ijaws are minorities or minorities. Even in Rivers State, we are not minorities. We have 10 and a half local governments in Rivers State. Forget about their politically distorted population figures. We have 10 and a half local governments. His own place has only 3 local government areas. And those places we are talking about, Opiakpo, Port Harcourt, and that, are populated by Igbos and many other persons who are not Ikwere people. So we are in Delta State. We have 4 local government areas. We are the second largest after the Igbo people. The Yorubos in Delta State were the second largest, right? So on what basis, or what are the demographic facts that made it to say? So if he said that was misconstrued, he should come back to state clearly the facts the way they are. The facts the way they are. You should not say, okay, I made a mistake in doing that. Now, the facts are this. It's just that among the 4 largest ethnic nationalities in this country.
All right, Professor.
The population figures are everywhere.
All right,
so for somebody to say, you're a minority and all that, so that's why I said that he has gone bananas.
All right,
I said
all right,
that
Professor,
I continue to
just a second, Professor. Mr. Ikenga, we're going to come to you, but I want to ask Mr. Kabir here in the studio with us regarding the legal implications of his statements, even if he has taken back what he said as being misconstrued. How can he go about placating the people of Ijaw Nation or Rivers State itself?
Well, one of the ways is by taking back his words.
Which he
you
has
know,
done.
if you recount, it's acceptable. Even in normal common parlance legally, when you allege that somebody has defamed you or he has published a libelous statement against you, whether a newspaper or a company or television or another, you will write it to the person and say, you said XYZ thing about me and they are defamatory of me, and I want you to...
It's already been said and it's out there. Doesn't that tell about the intention
No, it's
from
out
before?
there. It's out there. Maybe you publish something against someone now, and the person has written to you and say, oh, you defame me by this. I want you to apologize. If you apologize, you know, in the same manner you have said those things against him, I am telling you, even if you go to court, you are not likely to succeed. Because one of the things is that, oh, he said this thing, and he said, well, I am taking it back, I'm sorry, I never meant it that way. That is the end of it. But where he said, I am not going to retract it, the court will look at his conduct. Thereafter, after pointing his attention to what he has done and missed, you understand, and he still maintain his grant, the court will use it as a grant to awarding damages in, you know, disturbing circumstances. But where he said, oh, I am sorry to have said that, but I think Wike is a leader. For him he's not just coming out to say, oh, they misconstrue my this thing. He should apologize to the people because Ijaw people are his people. He is part of them. He has brothers among them. He has advisors among them. He has associates among them. So be a leader. I think he should just come out to apologize to them, even if he had been misconstrued. And again, my brother there will talk about, saying you can't blame this thing. I am not justifying under any circumstance that ruling with 4 members is justified. No. What I am saying is that those state people and the government there under Buhari ought to have dealt decisively with the issue that happened, the aberration in Edo State. That having not dealt with it, that is why he's doing it now.
Precedence.
It doesn't mean it's not correct under any circumstance that the government will do that. And it is also alleged that the governor pulled down the House of Assembly in Rivers. I don't know how far it is, but if that is so too, it is not too good. So we must discover what is right.
The intriguing thing about it, the more you talk, the more it's just crawling in my head that the situation in Rivers State is hydra-headed. Hydra-headed in that if you have forgotten is it Phoenix? If you cut off one part of the head, another sprouts.
That's the hydra.
You cut off another one, another sprouts. So we're talking on the one hand that the House of Assembly is seeming to play some sort of game with the governor in a continuing spiral of the crisis. But at the heart of it is what will benefit the people of Rivers State. So on that premise, I'd like to ask you to talk to us about the likelihood. Chibike seems to be optimistic that by next week there is a likelihood that the House will reconvene. But if in the event that they do not, what happens?
Like if you follow what we said yesterday also was I explained it that when the House is adjourned it doesn't mean they can't sit as soon as possible, which my brother there has explained also in a better way. However, when you look at things like this, you have said it all that they seem to be playing politics. House of Assembly is not hidden in a corner, and the governor's office also is not an unknown institution. For a letter to be coming from the governor's office and the House of Assembly is not able to receive it, under what circumstance will you be? How can you be justified to say, oh, is there no officer in the entire house? The clerk ought to be there, the deputy clerk ought to be there, and so many of the principal officers of the house. You understand? There are procedures which you also explained yesterday that if he has not written a letter and the letter has not been received truly, that the house, he cannot just barge into the house. But when the letter has been received, the house must attend to it. They may not agree with what is written in the letter. However, the legislators have a duty to Rivers State ultimately. The governor also have a duty to Rivers State ultimately. And I think the warring parties should bring their house, put their house together, and let them build Rivers State. And I should also believe that Wike should play the sportsman with air and allow the man to finish his tenure. Even if you are not going to support him again, you have brought him to power, probably, then let him enjoy his tenure and let the people of Rivers State feel the effect of governance.
Mr. Ikenga, let's come to you now. You've heard the submission of Mr. Kabir here and also Professor Kaba, who is also joining us via Zoom here. Now, Professor actually talked about the fact that the governor must not be impeached or else. However, there are rumors of an impeachment going about Rivers State and reaching the ears of, well, the press. How true are these rumors? And, well, could it be? Could it happen? Is that what seems to be happening, that the House is raring to go for an impeachment?
Okay, thank you very much. Your guest, Okaba, is one of the meddlesome interlopers in the crisis in Rivers State. Firstly, he's not a Rivers man, and two, he cannot belong to two states at the same time. Again, take note that this same Okaba and his INC,
okay, I must interject, sir, and ask that you use temperate language, please, in describing our fellow guests.
What's the use of interloper? Meddlesome interloper is somebody who is coming into a place where he's not supposed to come into. Is that an insult? If you are coming into a place, coming to participate in a place that you ought not to participate, what is that an insult? Meddlesome interloper is like coming into a place where you're not needed. Is that an insult? I'm very well schooled, please.
Okay, but the question has to do with the submissions and rumors. Hold on, gentlemen, please. Hold on. Mr. Ikenga.
Mr. Kaba, my apologies, Mr. Kaba, we will give each person the time to speak. We will give Mr. Ikenga, Mr. Ikenga, we will let you speak now. Yes, Mr. Ikenga. I won't go outside the required use of words. Mr. Ikenga, we will let you speak now. Professor Kaba, we will also let you speak. But Mr. Ikenga, please go ahead. Let's hear you finish.
Thank you very much. And I said, the Okaba who is there, and his INC, and their so-called pandas are those who asked the governor not to obey the presidential intervention for proclamation of peace in Rivers State. They went to court and they lost. This Okaba and his partisan INC are the same people who had asked the governor to continuously tread on the path he has treaded until the intervention of the Supreme Court. And today, he is there pontificating, making statements that cannot be substantiated.
I must apologize, Mr. Ikenga. I need to speak and ask you to. The question is not about the prof. The question is the rumors that there is a likelihood that there are moves to impeach the governor. We said it is in the realm of rumor. As somebody who is on the ground, should this rumor be discountenanced in its entirety? Or there is, as they say literally, no smoke without fire? I'd really appreciate it, sir, if you stay on topic.
Yes. I have said that I will answer all the questions you have posed, particularly the impeachment. Let me start with the impeachment so that you can have a relaxed mind. There is no impeachment going on against the governor in Rivers State. Not at this moment. It's not being contemplated. Nobody has made any move towards that. So these are the lies peddled by those who want to create more and more divisions within Rivers State and retard our development. Take note also that the Ijaws, they have their sons and daughters who support the governor. The Ijaws also have their sons and daughters who are members of the House of Assembly in Rivers State who do not agree with the governor. So in speaking about people who go against the governor, you must be mindful of some statements that you make that will lead to division. These same people are ethnic chauvinists. They are not political parties. You have children and sons and daughters of different ethnic groups in different political parties, platforms, and groups. And mind you, we have in Rivers State, the Rivers Ijaws, under the leadership of Senator George Sekebo, Barrister Erastus Awotu, and Roland Sekebo. They are sons and they are children of Ijaw ethnic extraction. And all they say is that they need peace. They want cohesion. We want to work together in our march to developing Rivers State. But these people who do not come from Rivers State, who want to stay wherever they come from to control what happens in Rivers State, is the cause of the problem. And let me tell you what the Minister of the FCT said, and that is my position as well. The Minister of the FCT did say that the judges in Rivers State and all of us have been cooperating. We are friends. We have been living together. But the Ijaws who come from outside of Rivers State are the people who are trying to create the crisis. And what do? They tell our Ijaw brothers who are here that they are more populated than us. And therefore,
all right, I think you've spent a lot of time. I think you've spent a lot of time,
ethnic domination. Sorry, we're fighting ethnic domination. We work together.
I think we've given you a lot of time to take on that subject, and you've expressed your views. But, I mean, this goes to the heart of the issues in Rivers State. This conversation was convened on the premise that there is a situation in the state at the moment. A Supreme Court ruling, an order is yet to be fulfilled because of logistics issues. So I'd like you to, I think I'll come back to the studio to, or should I just, for the sake of fairness, let's go back to the Prof.
Let's
go to the
from
Prof.
Professor
and
Kabir.
Please, in about 40-50 seconds, if you can, confirm to us that Ijaws, the place of Ijaws in Rivers State, are you citizens of that state? Is your intention for the state divisive or in the best interest of the state?
Well, in the first place, the president of Ijaw National Congress was voted for by Ijaws all over. In Rivers State, in Delta State, in Cross Rivers, everywhere that Ijaws are domiciled. So I superintend over the affairs. In fact, the INC Constitution in section 7 states clearly the powers that I have as president of Ijaw National Congress, which is to defend the Ijaw interest anyway. So I'm working within the confines of the Constitution of the INC. I'm not an interloper. Now, that's that point. Then secondly, the Ijaws have played major role, not now, major role, right from the creation of Rivers State. We know, if you go back, the role of Ijaw people, Adakaboro and many other persons sacrificed their lives. The first military governor of Rivers State was an Ijaw person, and he provided massive development. I'm talking about DHSP. The first civilian governor of Rivers State was an Ijaw man, Medford Okilo, who gave all-round development to the Ijaw nation, so to Rivers State. The other person, Ada George, they did all the same. And these people received support from Ijaws all over. And in fact, Ijaws even installed Wike. Wike was unpicked by an Ijaw man who made him minister, and then also, against the will of so many persons, right, made him governor of the state. So is it at this time that this man want to question the involvement of Ijaw all over in the development of this state? In fact, right from the beginning, that has been the position. So it's very, very wrong. Then, and maybe let us go back to the point I made earlier. When we were talking about, we have some George Sikebo and all that. George is my friend, and many others. We're all friends. We have, when we have issues that are common, we come together.
Professor,
yes.
I do apologize, but we are running, Professor, we are running out of time, and I have one small question to ask you before I come back to the studio here, where we would reserve the final question for Mr. Kabir. But regarding the fact that the FCT minister, who's working with the APC government currently, still in PDP, however, and Rivers State being a PDP state, what are your worries regarding the political influence of the APC in Rivers State, especially as we come towards 2027 elections?
Okay, is that a question for me?
Yes, sir.
It's for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that boils down to the issue I raised before. It is a class struggle. it's not about party. It's about a group of persons who have mobilized themselves together to grab power. And they vested this power in all the political parties and structure. If not, how on earth will somebody be a leader of APC and as well as being a leader of PDP? No ideological sentiments, no sense of belonging to a political party. It's all about grabbing of power. In fact, if you go deep down, you discover that the same people are controlling more other parties, all to galvanize all resources, human and otherwise, for purposes of frustrating whoever that is there for genuine development. The interest is just selfish. It's selfish. That is why whether in APC or a Labour Party or whatever they are, right? All this about grabbing power ahead of 2027 instead of focusing on issues of development, instead of focusing on those things that are killing this country. The economy is in shambles, right? Insecurity is going on heightened. The dollar rate is whatever. Everything we're systematically going down as a country. The focus is not about bringing Nigeria back. We are degenerating. We are going down the precipice, and that is not their business. Their business is how do we conquer Nigeria. Starting today is Rivers State. The next time they will move to Bayelsa, they will move Allah and conquer, and ultimately we might have a one-city state.
Prof, we'll come back to you in a bit. Before we come to Kabir in the studio, Mr. Ikenga, I'd like to ask you what the APC that you represent is doing to help manage the situation in Rivers State so that the people don't suffer the quarrels of their politicians.
Thank you. I think that APC as a party, we're interested in ensuring that there's rule of law. We're interested in ensuring that there's integration. All segments of Rivers State come together under one leadership and develop our state. And all of us must agree completely to throw away all the influences coming from outside of our state, which have deepened and festered the crisis over time. Just like I mentioned, the partisan INC under Akaba. And then there are also INC members in Rivers State who are working harmoniously. But finally, the former governor of Rivers Wike did say that the Ijaws alone in Rivers State cannot make themselves governors here in Rivers State without the collaboration of other ethnic groups. And that is what people like Professor Kaba and his partisan INC are saying.
All right, I think we've given you both enough time to speak your minds on your views on what is going on. So let's come to the legal mind in the studio and just ask on, there seemed to be optimism that by next week, this week now, the week starts on a Sunday. How optimistic are you? What do you expect from what you've watched of everything that's playing? Do you expect that the date, the 19th, that is suggested by the governor will happen?
Well, if I have to use the word of General George Washington of the U.S., that this is not the beginning. It's not even the beginning of the end, but probably the end of the beginning. There are a lot of things to watch out. We have to keep our fingers crossed. A lot of interesting crises, because the issue in Rivers State is now looking like the more you look, the less you see. Just like you have got it very well to you, hydra-headed monster. When you try to clip this one, another one, will come up. We rear its ugly head. And you can see some of our people that are speaking, they represent other sectors of they don't seem to agree. However, I want to say this. Loyalty is very important in politics as well. Fubara was not the best candidate at that time, in my own opinion. However, he came to power, by the help and instrumentality of the political machinery of Wike, and he didn't manage it at all. He didn't even manage it he couldn't even manage it for 3 months or 4 months. This underscores this issue of godfatherism in our politics. If you know you cannot take, being spoon-fed, don't take it. Don't become a governor under the privilege of somebody. It may cause issues. This is one of the ripples effect that we are seeing.
So while we're talking about the PDP, the APC, the influence of Wike or the party he's working under, even while being a PDP member, what about the people? Let's consider the people.
Yeah,
what options do the people have? To wait till the next election, or what?
The people have no options now. They have expressed their options
But it's
in the
supposed
election.
to be about the people, and it seems
you
like they've been extracted.
The option the people had, or the power they had, was through their voters' card, which they had exercised already, and they have voted somebody into power. And unfortunately, this is playing out. You understand? So when it happens like this, the only thing, and somebody said something the other day, nobody is calling for it. It will be better not to impeach the governor, but the issue of impeachment is something that the people do not have power over. It's something that nobody has power over. It is within the jurisdictional competence of the House of Assembly. And if they want to exercise that power, nobody can stop them. In fact, the court cannot stop them. That is just the truth of the matter. And if you look at the Supreme Court decision, the Supreme Court had already said some of the actions taken by governor were unconstitutional. Having said that, it's a lot of problem. If the issue of impeachment should come up, I think we should be very careful.
Well, Felicity, do you have one more question you'd like to ask?
No,
we have spent about an hour on this topic, and would like to say thank you to the gentlemen who have joined us, Professor Okaba. Thank you very much, Mr. Ikenga, and also thank you very much, Mr. Kabir,
It's a pleasure for
joining us to have this very robust
Thank you.
and big conversation regarding a situation inside of Rivers State. Well, we'll continue to see until the 19th. Hopefully, this will end then, or at least it will be the beginning of the end, as Mr. Kabir has put it. Thank you very much.
I certainly hope that is not the case, because Rivers is a key state in this country, and stability there affects all of us.
Indeed, it does.